just like bending down to hold a basketball. My dad's like bending down like to grab the basketball with me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it just started out the womb. It started in the womb, out of the womb. Like,
well, that's also interesting that you said that, but I think one of our secret sauces of why we've been so successful as well is because I can get somebody off the street and make them competitive within 6 weeks. Because I know I don't have a lot of time. I know that, and then just even like think of it, hypothetically speaking, you got the basketball team, which, listen, no shade, they're not as successful as us, but they want to see what it's like. They want to see what it's like to dominate. So, but they don't know how to play. And I want them to feel welcomed. I don't want them to feel overmatched. I don't want them to feel intimidated. So that's also a skill of being an ambassador to the game.
Yes.
I want you to love this game. You can play it lifelong.
But I think that's relationships, right? Like people are going to go harder and do things more when you have a relationship with them. Like there's some natural kids that are just going to go through a brick wall for you. But others, you have to take the time to have that relationship. And once you have it, it's click.
I agree. And I think just to further that point, I think at my school, what we've built collectively as a coaching staff is that these kids are so honored to play for us that you can feel it from the first day when they come. They're so nervous and they know they have so much. They put pressure on themselves, right? And they know they have to live up to all of the things that have happened before them. And I'm like, we're just going to work as hard as we can every day. So then that way when you play, it's easy. That way you don't got to stress it out. So, we could talk about coaching on and on and on. But I know you had a topic of a specific, like when it comes to players and how you can find the right fit for you. And I'm assuming that this is more for the grassroots level. Because, I think that's difficult. And I guess also it could translate to if you want to go to a Catholic school or a college.
Yeah.
I think that's also different. And the way I'll segue this is one time I had a kid. She had a really amazing year, sophomore year for basketball. So she was getting heavily recruited at from Kellenberg. I won't name any names. But she got offered a Division I scholarship in 10th grade. And I remember I was like, you should play volleyball because all of your friends are playing. And she played 9th and 10th grade. And she was like, you know what? I want to focus on basketball. I'm like, why would you do that? Why would you not do that? They ended up winning the state championship the year that she ended up not playing. But the reason why I'm mentioning this to you is because I had an honest conversation with her because there was a young lady before that who went Division I. She ended up redshirting and then didn't really play. Like she played Division I, but did not have like a really full, vibrant athletic experience at the collegiate level, which I was kind of disappointed with because I don't know. I feel like maybe if she played Division II or Division III, she probably would have had a way different outlook on basketball and just enjoying it. So I kind of had that talk with her, and I got her senior year. She ended up playing and she ended up winning a championship. But it was more like, you're going to be an adult forever.
Yeah.
Like you're going to be with me for this and that's it. And we'll have great memories forever. We'll be friends forever.
And that's the thing. It's a balance. It's a balance of you're still young and you want to move forward into your older life, right? And I think that's what a lot of people struggle with. That's what a lot of kids might struggle with. That's what parents might struggle with. Like, oh, they're really good at basketball, but like I still want them to do all these other sports. And that's tough. I think there's different layers to it. Like when you're younger, a lot of let's say 6th grade and below, a lot of parents don't know AAU exists. They don't know that these outside club sports exist. And they think they're playing CYO and that's the best thing. Their kid's the best. Their kid's really good. And so you come over to the club side and you play travel. And then once you start playing travel, you really see where your kid lands. And it takes a lot of work. Like you need all the fundamentals. And some kids still don't have those fundamentals when they come 7th, 8th, 9th grade. Then, there's public school. So public school here where we are, right? A lot of teachers are hired to coach.
Right.
That doesn't mean the teacher has experience in the sports.
Very true. Very true.
They might just be doing it because the position needs to be filled. So are they really getting the coaching that they need in the public school once you hit 7th, 8th grade? You don't know. Now, if you do want a scholarship in any sport, you have to kind of start playing competitively, at least club or travel, by 9th grade. And to add to that, right, if you want to be really good, public school might not be the place for you. Public school is, you get what you get. Whereas you go to a private school, you go to a Catholic school, much more competitive.
Yeah.
And then on top of that, you have the prep schools that academically and overall with sports is much more intense and prepares you. I know a story about a girl who transferred to a prep school. Yale wanted to offer her, but until they saw that rigorous itinerary, if she could handle it at the prep school, they didn't offer her. So once she went into prep school and was doing a couple months there, she got offered no problem at Yale. But that's not the norm, But there are different layers, and I think kids need to really make sure that they're working on their game. Parents know where to put them. Parents put them in appropriately. But knowing the avenues out there is really important. And then when you do play travel, are you playing for the right coach? Are you in the right team? Are the values that you should be being taught or you want to be around? Because let's face it, in travel and club, there's a lot of nonsense that goes on. So
is there? I don't rep
yes,
it, so I don't know.
Yes, there is. So there's a lot of layers to it, but I think just finding a positive, encouraging environment where kids are being taught and you're, as a player or a parent, being taught, look, this is where you need to go, or these are the things that you need to do to further your child, or this is the level your child is at, and you need to do this, this, and this, which not everyone's going to tell you to do, and not everyone's going to tell you to do correctly.
Right.
And ultimately, as a parent, you need to listen to professional advice, but at the same time, you have to make the best decision for yourself and your family. Like, I just had a girl in high school. They moved an AAU team, but the AAU team is 2 hours away. So now they moved back to the AAU team that they left because the 2-hour commute was not it. But it was probably a better opportunity for her on that AAU team. So you have to really decide what you're willing, just like college, when you're choosing college.
You gotta know what you're willing to go through. Yeah.
Yeah. What you're willing to put up with, not put up with, like anything in life.
See, this is so interesting because I'll talk to parents and they'll tell me like, oh, they used to play for this club team, but we didn't like the coach. And then it always goes like, I wish you guys were the coach. And I'm like, I don't know what that world is and I'm not sure what it is, but I feel like I wouldn't love volleyball as much if I did it all year round with.
Yeah.
I don't know how I'd feel. Like, I like it. And remember,
volleyball might be a little bit more mellow, but like the basketball side of club.
I mean, it's intense for us. I don't want to discredit how, because somebody, shout out to Jake from St. John the Baptist. He's like, dude, it's volleyball. Okay. It's easy to win. I'm like, says somebody who's never won a league title. Like, stop it. But I just find all of that, really interesting because, and then even in terms of exposure, I know for me as a referee, I'm always wanting to try to be entertained, right? So if I see somebody that has like next level intensity and effort and just finishing and fluidity,
yes,
I always look at those things. I'm not necessarily worried about a name or anything.
The thing though that I think happens is the kids that need the exposure or that should have exposure don't get it because of where they're playing at. So whether it's like the club team or the high school team, like public schools don't get a lot of exposure. Hence why I wanted to make sure with the Nassau County Girls Basketball Association, we got exposure because even though they're in public school, these girls are very good.
Yeah,
they deserve like the Olivia Gundos in the world who stay at public school. Like those kids deserve the exposure, and if they get some of the exposure, they'll be on that next level platform. Even if they don't go to a private school, even if they don't go to a prep school, they'll still be on that level with the exposure.
Yeah, I think that's really. I hope she wins the. I shouldn't be saying this as a ref. I just want to see her like in the championship game in flag football because like I'm watching her stories. I'm like 6 touchdowns. Who is this? Like she's having the time of her life. I saw her crying like when she was done with basketball. And I'm like, good for her. Good for her that they made that sport to, but there's going to be. And
that's the other thing too. Like they play so many different sports. People should know. Like, look, this kid is an athlete.
Oh,
like
yeah.
not even just basketball player, not even just volleyball player. Like this kid's an athlete. And look at what they can do. And, women's sports, I think, has becoming transcending, I should say, but rightfully so. And the abilities and some of the things that these girls, young girls do, pros do, college players do, is absolutely incredible.
Right. I have
incredible.
I have a vested interest only because like I've been coaching young ladies for so long. Love seeing them grow, loving see them being successful in life. I've been able to see, a lot of my kids end up having their own families. It's amazing. And, just to see that small impact and just to know that they play basketball, they play lacrosse, they play soccer, they play all these different other sports. It's like amazing that I'm so honored to just have them for, 2 months.
Yes.
And then just keep going. But, I don't want to go too far with this podcast. And I know we had some other topics, but I'll just leave some more meat on the bones. But in terms of this podcast, what are you trying to accomplish? Who do you want to speak to? What do you want to get out of this experience for you?
I want to be very educational to people. I also want our experiences to shine through because I think a lot of people go through the similar things, or parents, they're going through something and they don't know where to go. And I think just bringing to light, like New York, bringing to light, like the people that we deal with every day, like having people on, speakers that we know, to grow the girls' game, to grow the sports that we love. Like, I think that's important. And Long Island, New York is very different than a lot of places out there. So I definitely want it to be educational. And I definitely want it to be just bringing faces of the game out here through our podcast. So
okay, that sounds really good. I saw that on the list. You have misconceptions of a referee. Where were we going with that?
Well,
what are we talking about?
There's some misconceptions of refereeing, right?
Yeah. I mean, look, I try to be. I got my nose ring in. I got my earrings in. I try to show like I'm
more
a
of
person.
in the game.
Yeah. Okay. Well, what's a good one? I don't know. I think there's a big misconception that.
All right. So here's a misconception that I've dealt with, right?
Yeah.
Especially this year. If I be nice to the refs, help them out before the game, they're gonna, give some home calls, right? Like,
what does that mean?
Like when, because I've heard it. I've actually heard it from referees that you know.
Oh my goodness.
Be nice, be sweet to the refs, help them out, go open the locker room for them, put them in the locker room, be nice. You'll get some calls. I've done that several times. Total misconception. It has not worked for me. And not that I listen, I'll be the first one to tell you my team fouled, my team traveled, whatever. Like, my team made a mistake. However, when there's some blatant things that need to be called, and like, it's a misconception that you help the refs, you're nice to them before, after the game, that you're going to get calls. Like, I don't know. You tell me what your thoughts are, but that's my thought.
I don't know if nice gives any, like, for me, I think everyone's nice to me. I don't think, I never
like,
find.
There is, in Nassau County Girls Basketball Association, there is, a sportsmanship award that the referees chime in about, right?
Sure.
So I guess that might correlate together.
Perhaps, but I just think that if you're a good person and you have a person of integrity, I think the biggest misconception of referees is that you think that we want to mess up. I don't want to mess up ever. I want to be great at what I do. I want to make every call perfect. So when people are outraged, I just want them to know, like, I've seen this many times. I know what I'm calling. I'm very confident.
Do you follow the account Crown Refs?
Yeah.
So I saw a video today that was really interesting. And it was a male and a female ref, and they're in Vegas. And the person, I don't know who the person was that was talking to them, but they went down and back, right? Down and back. One call wasn't made, and then they went down the other end, and it was the same call that they just didn't call, that this person called.
Right.
And the question was, did you process that person let the no call go?
So here's a good. Go ahead.
They said, the person asked, did you process that they just had that no call, but it's the same play that happened down here and you called it? And he, which I was very happy to hear, he said, no, I didn't even process it, because if I did process it, I wouldn't have called it.
Okay, well, I think that's a step in the right direction. But I will say, refereeing is probably the only occupation, right? If you have a kid on your team and they just started, I'll be able to tell immediately that they started. If they can't dribble, if they get a turnover, they don't know what to do, you're panicking at a moment, I'll understand that. But referees have to act like they know what they're doing from day one.
Yes.
And I don't know if that's fair or not, but you got to know, we're learning in reverse.
Yes.
we're trying to get to the point where we're confident in what we're supposed to do.
I'll tell you a funny story. So like somebody new was reffing my women's game, and I'm very calm. But I'm also 6'2".
You're calm now?
When I play, I'm usually calm, but
Okay.
I'm 6'2", and I'm getting hammered. Brand new ref, right? Brand new ref. I'm getting hammered. Finally fed up with it.
What time is this game? Like 10:30?
It was a late night.
Because they give the newbies like
It was a late night game, but I'm getting fed up.
Yeah.
You're not calling anything. And I'm like, I'm getting hammered.
Okay, but do you?
Well, wait, I got into his face
Oh boy.
and I yelled, and that's not me.
Ay,
Like
ay,
it was
ay.
in the moment. Like me playing,
What'd you say?
I was like, you gotta call the foul. But I was
Ay.
screaming. I was screaming at him, right?
Was it like anything?
No.
Anything?
No.
And I
like,
went, nothing.
I'm ashamed to even say this, but I like stepped up to him, like kind of got closer to him and yelling at him.
That's how you was feeling though.
But it was because
Right.
in the game, like we were a really good team.
Was he,
like we were
was he
winning the
able to handle
championships.
himself at the
He
time?
wasn't. But after the game, I apologized to him and I said, "I'm sorry. The game just got to me." And I'm a huge person of like leave the refs alone. But we're adults now.
Yeah,
like how I
I
handle
got
myself
you.
is very different than
I got you.
what I want
Yeah.
for the kids.
Right.
And I found out who he was. And then I apologized to him again, like a couple of days
Because you
later.
found out he took the class 2 months ago?
No, because I found out who he's related to, like
yeah.
hierarchy referees. So I just said to him, I was like, look, I'm really sorry. I apologize. I didn't know you were like family members of these people. Like, I wouldn't have yelled at you if I knew that. But I was like, I'm sorry. I was just in the moment. You know what I mean? So like, I get it when because I've refed, I've like taken the class, not like fully, but I get caught watching the plays and I'm trying to coach or like play like a player.
Well,
you know?
I think one of the biggest misconceptions in reffing is that you can look like me and be young and be a veteran, and you could be really old and it'd be your first game.
Well,
and that's a big paradox, I think.
The other misconception, I think, is that just because you played and coached means you can ref.
Oh no, it's a completely different
Very.
thought process. Like, I think it can help. I think that because you also, I don't know if there's another misconception that there's some referees that never played basketball, so they're just doing it by rule.
Yeah.
And when you don't have that field, it's a much different thing. And you know, I've always wanted to say this to coaches all the time. You should study referees. Referees call different ways.
Well, let's tell people how many times I text you about a call.
All the time. And you know what? I'm disappointed. Anyone that's doing a girls' game and reffing with boys' high school rules, I mean, and listen, I don't know. I think there's a shortage of referees, and they're probably just putting anyone on the game. But we just got to be consistent. Girls, when I'm reffing a girls' game, I ref it completely different than a boys' game.
Yeah.
And that's what you need because it's a different game. It's a different speed. It's different beats. I don't know. Yeah, and I think that's also a misconception. Another one, and this will be my final one, is that, you know, the Celtics are playing Philly. It's Philly's up 3-2 right
Yep.
now. It's 5:48, and we're gonna enjoy ourselves and watch this game right after we're recording. But people watch this and they go, "That's a clear path. Clear path." They shoot 1-1 in the NBA. There's eight minutes in the quarter. No, it's a different game. It's different.
It's very
rules.
different. It's very different. And the NBA is not, college rules.
What I'm saying is that everyone watches basketball.
Oh,
and
yeah.
they want to watch this.
Yeah.
And they think that these are all the. It's not the. It's high school.
It's
rules.
not.
I get disappointed when I do an adult league and I go, "We're not playing NBA rules. You're all not ready."
Well,
for that.
I think a lot of people don't realize that. And even, let's talk about AAU. AAU doesn't even go by girls' rules. Like, not every state.
What do you think about that with like coaching?
So I think it's doing the girls a disservice because now in high school you play college girls rules,
Right.
You play college girls rules, which are very different. And if you're not doing it in AAU, how are the girls supposed to get used to it when most of their career will be girls rules?
Well, there is a vote that they might change it to boys high school. I don't know if you knew that.
I don't.
Yeah, but it might not.
But I do hate the 2 shots.
I
I'd
know.
rather do the 1-on-1.
No,
I'd rather do the 1-on-1.
no, I liked it too.
And I love under a minute, fourth quarter, call a timeout, advance the ball.
Yeah, I
Love it.
Girls' rules are so much better
Love
for
it.
me. But, I'm good at both of them. So I will continue to keep reffing accordingly if it's a boys' game or girls' game. But I'll wrap this up now because I think I'm very excited. I think this can go
I
a
know
lot
you
of
are.
different places. But any final words you want to say before we start watching the Sixer game?
I will say that Ralph is phenomenal, and
Oh,
he has
no.
the referee rant. And now I have my KEDtraining, where is all my coaching and training information. And then I also have Making Waves in Women's Basketball, Making Waves INWB. And then I also just launched my clothing line in March, always around
What
my
are you,
birthday.
Jay-Z?
Always around my birthday, Making Waves in Sports, MWS Sports Brand. And like this t-shirt right here, everywhere all at once, like a lot of merch that I'll be coming out with and different designs. So you and I are doing a lot in the basketball, volleyball, sports world with all that we do. And, I think just trying to build on it and grow, because I want our players to see what we do and wow, like they do so much, they manage so much.
Yeah.
Like they did what we did, and now, I always tell kids, you never know what somebody's going through. Like, and I make it a point like to not bring whatever I'm going through into the practices, but there's been times here and there where I have to say to them like, look, my dad's in the hospital. I just came from the hospital. I'm in practice because they're having a terrible practice. And I have to put in perspective for them. Like, listen, this is about sports, but like there's more to the world than just sports. And sometimes you got to like level with them in that sense. But like there's more to life than sports, because we need to know who we are. And a lot of players don't know who they are without the sport. But I think it's what keeps us grounded. Like playing the games we love is what keeps us grounded.
Yeah. And I truly think that obviously I'm united in that whole pursuit of that and excellence. And I just realized how red you got from your tan in the backyard. But we'll leave it at there. I'm really excited to work with Kelly.
Thank
We're outta
you.
here. Peace. You could cut it off.